let's start from standing since we're all three here, and we'll do some fun stuff. My tendency, especially in the evening, is just to lie down and be still, right? So I try to start tall so that at least we get a little more invigorating things in before we settle in. So let's start at the front of the mat and we'll make a mountain pose. A lot of standing yoga poses start from that. Tadasana is the Sanskrit word, which is funny to me. It sounds like ta-da. But just like a lot of things in yoga, we're going to be standing still but working all over, right? It's almost like they're like, how can we stand still and turn on all the muscles? So what we're going to do, from the feet and legs, hug up and in, right? Pull your feet towards one another and notice how that activates your legs. I heard one teacher call it hug the muscles against the bone. Like we're just activating the legs, okay? Let's pull our shoulders up towards the ears, and we keep that going, right? We keep that little pull with the feet in towards one another. And then we're going to turn the palms forward, shoulders go up, pull your shoulder blades back towards one another along the spine, and then just let them settle with gravity. But keep the hands facing forward, because that keeps the upper body open and the shoulders back. Okay, imagine you got a golden thread attached to the crown of your head and let it gently pull you up nice and tall, right? We're not reaching and straining, but we're just letting ourselves take up our real space, our actual space. Okay? Reach through the arms, push down through the fingertips. Get the shoulder blades pulling back towards one another along the spine. Lift up actively through the crown of the head. Check in on the feet, get them pulling in towards one another. Okay, now keep standing here but stop doing all that, right? Do only what's necessary to keep you upright and let all the muscles release. A lot of times what our body wants to calm down and to settle and to relax is to be used first. You know, a lot of these poses that we do, that's the idea. How do I use my body in the way that it works and in the way that it asks to be used? And once we give our body that attention and that activity, it's more satisfied, physically satisfied, right? It's peaceful and feeling good. Okay, let's step our feet together, and we're going to take it to the hips here a little bit. So knees stay pretty straight. I mean, they can bend. Of course, make these poses yours, but in general, knees are going to be straight and the upper body is straight so that we can focus all of our movement on the hips. Now let's take them out to the left first, and then we're going to start to circle them forward, and then around to the right, and then back to the back. Notice this dimension, we have a lot more movement, right? Because that's just the way the hips and the back work. And then we'll bring the hips back around. It's just a big circle. And once you figured out how that works and how that feels, then we're going to look for challenge in the pose. And how we do that is to notice in this circle if we're as far as we can go. And if we're not, press out a little further. So that at each point in our circle, we feel that resistance of like, okay, I don't go any further in that direction, right? We land in that place where that's as far as we go. And we just sort of stay in that shape or follow that circle around. Let's take our circle the other way. Because two things happen when we push up against that edge or that border. We learn our shape and we learn what our body does and what our body's capable of, and it just feels good physically for our muscles and our joints to get space. It's just pleasurable. Okay, let's come back upright, and then we're going to bend our knees and get our hands to the knees. Okay, more circles here. And this time, we're going to start to move the knees apart, and then they're going to circle back until they join one another. All right, they bend forward, and then they circle and meet up. Okay? Once again, feel it the whole way, right? Sometimes what a yoga pose needs
And this is something I particularly have to remind myself, because like I said, I got into this and I love it because I need to be calmed and soothed and to find ways of just making myself feel okay. But when we're using the body all the time, sometimes it's good. What I'm trying to say is it's healthy for our mind to have a physical focus, to be able to look, when we get busy mentally, to be able to look into the body and commune with the body and be with the body sometimes. That's how I look at a practice like this. Let's just take a few laps the other way. So our knees start straight, and now as they bend, they're going to move apart and then circle forward. And for some reason, this really gives me that sense of the thigh bones connected to the knee bone, because everything sort of crackles and pops and settles, like my back and my shoulders and my neck, everything sort of settles together. Okay, let's come upright, and for one more pose here, we'll keep our feet together. And it's harder to balance because it's just one point. It's 2 points or more stable. But for one more pose, let's go right together. And then even though the feet are stable and are stationary, we're going to push the heels together. Activate the muscles of the legs to spin the heels into one another. And because that's going to activate the back of the legs and make us balance better. This is a balance pose. So let's lock our hands and then flip the palms and come up alongside our ears. Okay? Now, find a spot on the floor, find something that's not moving, and then lift up onto your toes and the fronts of the feet. Remember to push the heels into one another and find that line of stability that goes in the back. Awesome. Let's bring the heels down. Let's bring the hands and arms down. We're going to bring our hands to the hips for a moment and get our elbows pulling back towards one another. That's going to keep the front of the body open, and it's also going to encourage us to keep the upper body straight. Because what we're going to do is fold from the hips until we're making what feels like 90 degrees. And you guys are welcome to check your reflections. I just usually go by, if I feel like I'm about halfway down, I just pause there and extend tall, right? Get long through the crown of the head and extend back through the tailbone. And we use that reach for stability. Instead of just pulling against gravity away from the floor, it's like it's more fun or less tedious to extend the body, make it long and active as opposed to just sort of pulling against the floor. I don't know if it's really easier, but it makes it seem more enjoyable to me. Okay, let's use the hands and arms wherever they reach to. We're going to make it a forward fold. Just let the upper body release forward. In particular, we want to get to the back of the calves and the back of the upper legs, but anywhere in the back of the body is fine. And we're just tuning in to wherever we feel it the most, right? We just get forward, we're settled into our pose, and we're just looking for the part of the body that's reporting in the loudest or the strongest, and we're just staying there, listening to that. Okay, let's take it to the hips here a little bit. This is a standing split. So, bend your knees if you need to get both hands to the ground. And then we're going to straighten both legs, but with the left leg on the floor and the right leg extending back. Okay, take a moment to really get used to balancing on the left foot. Our hands, we don't want them to bear weight. They're just to help us balance. Okay, and once we feel strong on the left leg, all we have to do is keep the right straight and start to take it up, right? Doesn't matter how high up it goes, keep that extension though, from the hip out through the pointed toes. Keep the right leg getting longer. Okay, let's bring the leg down. We'll exchange feet. So get the right foot to the mat. Take time to really balance on the right foot using the hands for reference. And then start to go up, lengthen out through the left leg. Okay, let's come on down to the mat, and we're going to turn it into child's pose. So we pass through tabletop, which is hands and knees. We're going to sit down towards our heels. We can make a little pillow here, or we can bring our head all the way to the mat, but we just want to switch off, right? We were working really hard to keep ourselves upright in that last pose, and now we want to quickly move to as little effort as possible. But while keeping our attention active, staying alert and watching what that feels like in the body. Find the heartbeat. Okay, let's bring it back up to tabletop, and let's take a little spinal twist here. Now that we've got warmed up, left hand's gonna face up, and it's gonna slide through here behind the right wrist. So we're gonna lower to the left shoulder and the left side of the head. Take a moment to make sure we release in the back of the body, because the more that we can switch off means more space for the vertebrae to move relative to one another. So let the back relax, and then we're going to take the right arm and bring it gradually up and back. Okay, let's come back to center, and then we'll unwind it to the other side. So this time the right hand's going to slide through so that we can get comfortable on the right shoulder and the right side of the head. Again, take a moment when you get settled to really switch the muscles off on purpose, and then the left arm is going to come up and back. Okay? Let's come back to center. And let's go ahead and set up for our first downward facing dog. So tuck under with both sets of toes and then sit back towards the heels. Of course, this is going to feel a lot different from child's pose because that's a very sensitive place, the feet and the bottoms of the feet. So settle back towards the heels and then take your hands forward, maybe a hand's length, so 4 to 6 inches. So now we're nice and low behind the hands because the whole upper body is going to be long and low with the weight of the upper body coming into the hands. Okay, now we just need to straighten our knees and we have an ideal downward facing dog. Okay, make any sort of adjustments you want. We have to work here. It takes energy to stay here, but we want it to feel pretty stable without too much work. So make it comfortable for yourself. I like to picture a triangle, right? But a triangle made out of my skeleton. From my feet up to my hips, one long straight line. From my hips down through my hands, the other long straight line, and I've just stacked those two lines together. Okay, let's turn this into upward facing dog. We're going to lower the hips while keeping the elbows and the knees straight. Pass through plank, but then let the hips sink down. We're going to lift our heart and look up. Okay, let's press the hips back up to downward facing dog. And let's walk our dog a little bit. Just bend one knee at a time and let the straight leg get all of that good lengthening attention. Okay, let's come on back down with the knees. And we'll unflip the toes, settle back to child's pose again, and see how quickly you can release the effort. Intentionally go from working hard to hardly working. Because we learn things in those transitions between states. We learn things about how our body feels, how it moves, how it works together. For a long time, when I used a lot of energy and then I was still, my attention would immediately leave. I would just get busy with daydreams and thoughts or whatever. It was almost like I was embarrassed to work hard, or I was like, didn't want to breathe heavy, or didn't want to admit that I used energy, you know. These days I try to enjoy that and stay with that, because that's why I'm here. I'm here to use my body and activate it and deactivate it on purpose. Okay, let's come on up to tabletop once again. And we'll tuck the toes, settle back towards the heels. Hands are going to go forward, so we're nice and low. And then straighten the knees for a downward facing dog. And let's take apart our sun salutation here. We'll do the hard parts in practice so that when we get to it in a sun salutation, we sort of know what we're doing. So, hard part number one, look up at your right hand and step your right foot forward so that your right foot lands somewhere inside the right hand, right? You can take it slow, reach back there and grab the foot and bring it forward somehow or another. Get the right foot forward. Now, we tend to pile all of our weight up onto the front of the body and the right leg. See if you can shift back while staying here, but let your left leg be anchored and heavy, right? Send weight to the back foot. And then we're going to try to bring our sternum directly over our right foot. So now instead of the hands, I can just let my right leg hold me up, and that's going to let us curl up from the hips. Right? The first one's always the hardest. Once we get up here, all we have to do is find the stable point, and then we're coming right back down. So let's get the hands to the ground, and we're going to step our right foot back into a plank. Okay? Back of the body straight, lower it all the way down. Okay? That's the tough part. Let's grip with our hands, right? Really claw into the mat, and we're going to pull forward and look up. And then here's where we go to downward facing dog. So tuck the toes and then press the hips up and back. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this one off. This has been sort of an instructional, but we'll do one that's more formal after this. So you're like, are you kidding? Let's not. All right, let's look up at the left hand and then step the left foot forward. Okay? Remember to anchor back in the right foot. shift the sternum right over the left foot, and then curl up from the hips. And every time we do it, it's like we learn to work smarter. We put it in places where we use our balance and we use our bones, and we don't have to use so much muscular energy. Now let's come on back down. And once your hands can receive the upper body, we're going to step back with the left foot. So it's just like the beginning of a push-up. We're going to lower all the way to the ground. So our hands stay where they are, but let the body rest. Let it totally switch off. We try to get all those little bits of rest we can, because it makes a difference, right? Grip the mat, and then pull forward, and look up, open the front of the body. And then we're going to look down between the hands to make our neck comfortable. Tuck the toes, and push the hips up and back for a downward facing dog. So that's how a sun salutation ends, right? We end up here in downward facing dog, and we just rest here, right? Let the body be as open and as easy as possible, but look for the heartbeat, look for the breath. Okay, so we can bend our knees and gradually take small steps forward, or we can hop our feet up between the hands, and we're just going to curl upright, bring our head and shoulders up last. Awesome. Sun salutation, we'll take it from the top. And we're sort of learning the ropes here. When you guys work on this at home, I hope you do, because it's fun. It has like a bounce or a choreography to it that I really enjoy. You know, we move from here to here to here to here to here. But just be aware of that as we put the pieces together here. So the very first, we're going to sweep our arms up and lean back and breathe in, and then breathe out and hinge forward from the hips like a swan dive forward. Okay, our next inhale, lengthen the upper body and just straighten the back. And then exhale and fold all the way in again. Okay, now bend your knees enough to get your hands to the ground. We're going to get our hands ready to hold us up, step back long into a plank. Yep. And now we'll lower all the way to the mat. Okay, grip down, claw down under the shoulders, and pull forward and look up. And then look down between the hands, tuck your toes, and push the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Once you get stable here, you find a sweet spot, look up at the right hand, and step the right foot forward. Okay, make sure the left foot is anchored, and we're going to shift our sternum just over the right foot so we can curl up with the upper body. And once we get here, we're going to come right back down. Once our hands are secure, we can go ahead and take this foot back into the plank, lower to the ground, and grip the mat, pull forward and look up. Down, tuck the toes, press the hips up and back, find the good stable dog, and then look at the left hand and step the left foot forward. Okay, shift back into the right foot, put weight into the right foot, line up centered over the left foot, which is going to allow our left leg to support us as we come up. Excellent, and then let's come right back down, we're on home stretch. So once our hands make it to the ground, one last time, step the foot back, so the plank, and then lower to the ground, and grip the floor, pull forward and look up, look down between the hands, tuck the toes, push the hips up and back. Vacation dog is how I think of this one. It's the end of a sun salutation, but it's still a little bit active. It's neat how it ends here because it gets us to rest in a weird way, right? We're used to sitting down or lying down or even standing to catch our breath, it's cool to catch our breath and sort of recuperate in this strange pose. And again, our goal here, our body will come back to stability by itself. But our challenge, what we do on purpose, is just to stay in the physical, right? Keep bringing our attention back to what it feels like. Maybe it feels sweaty. Maybe it feels like we get out of breath, but that's good. That means we're alive and we're doing what we're supposed to do with our bodies. Okay, let's ease our knees to the floor. And then we're going to kick back to our backs for a couple of poses. Okay, notice where the back of your head meets the ground, right? We don't have to do anything about it. We just want to put our attention there on purpose in that very small area where our head is making contact with the mat or with the floor. And then shift that down to your shoulders. Feel where your shoulders meet the ground. All right, notice the back of the hips. Notice where the center of the body is being supported by the ground. Okay, notice where the back of the calves and the back of the heels meet the floor. And that close attention to specific parts of the body, that's like the main practice of mindfulness, or it's what most people have in mind when they use the term of mindfulness practice or mindfulness techniques, is bringing our attention to our body. And usually our body starts to relax and settle just through that process of paying close attention. But if there's anything else you can do to release the back of the body, to sort of settle into the grip of gravity or settle into the embrace of gravity, just let the back of the body release. Okay, let's bend our right knee, and we're going to bring it in towards us, and we're going to hold the right knee with both hands. Okay, our knee is just the handle though, because where we're going to work is in the right hip. So let's start by pulling our knee in towards us, and then we'll push the knee away, and maybe take it side to side, maybe make circles, just freestyle here, but keep aware of the right hip, right? Stay present there, but try to challenge yourself, right? If we don't feel it, that means that we're not really changing anything. So try to feel it, try to move your leg and hip to the places where you feel that response. But we're not ever forcing anything or doing anything fast or jerky. But we do go to the edge, to the border, right? Okay, I don't go any further that way. But because we approached it respectfully and with grace and awareness, we come out of it on top, and we keep ourselves safe because we're watching all the time, spotting ourselves. All right, let's take the right leg back to the ground, and let's bring the left knee in. We'll hold the knee steady and then maybe pull in towards us first. Of course, making space in the back of the hips and the back of the body, and then push the knee away. And then make sure you get a good couple of passes side to side, like across the body to the right and out to the left. And then just see where it can go, where it feels like there's space, where it feels like there's less space. Okay, that's good. Let's let the knee go, and now we're going to get both feet flat to the floor. Okay, we got a little space, maybe 3 or 4 inches between the feet, 3 or 4 inches between the knees. And let's windshield wiper our knees a little bit. So our feet are going to pivot. They're going to stay about where they are, but you can let them move around. And what we're going to do is to lower both knees to the left. And then we take that all-important step of totally releasing, right? We set our knees down with control, and then we relax all control for a moment, and then we switch them back on. We come across the center line, and then we go to the side, and we take that important step of totally releasing. And let's just go side to side a couple times, making space in the hips, and also the lower back and the sacrum. Okay, that's good. Let's take both legs out straight again. And left leg stays home. Let's keep the right knee straight, but just float the right leg, right? And we're going to keep our right knee straight, but we're going to make a big circle here. So start by crossing the right leg over the left. Keep the right foot pulling out to the left side. And we're trying to find that border, right? How far does my hip move in that direction? And when we need to start coming up and crossing over in front of us, we keep it pulling in. All right, long, slow, with control circle here. Let's take another lap. All right, let's let the right leg rest. We'll take the same thing for the other side. So left leg can come up, knee is going to stay straight. We'll start by crossing over the right leg and circling up towards the head. Big circle here. Awesome. Let's let the left leg rest. And we're going to bring our hands and arms down by our sides and press down with the lower back, right? We're using the front of the body, the abdominal wall, to do that. So you can feel the front of the belly stabilize when we push down with the lower back. Now we're going to get tall through the crown of the head and lift the head and shoulders, all right? Keep breathing. Make it stable. All right, let's bring the upper body back down and relax. Excuse me. Okay, let's bring both knees in this time, and we're going to make our link here with the hands and the fingers, link them around the knees, and at first, just let go, right? Let your body find this new shape without fighting it or trying to correct it or trying to do anything with it, right? Just make the shape, release. Okay, now let's switch it back on a little bit with the shoulders and the arms gently pulling our knees in, and with our lower body trying to push the tailbone down towards the floor, right? As our knees pull in and our hands and arms pull the knees in, press down with the back of the hips. Okay, that's good. Let's release the knees and let the feet land flat to the floor again. and we're gonna cross the right ankle on the left knee. Okay, now once the ankle is on the knee, they're gonna stay glued together, right? The ankle and the knee are now one big team. And we're gonna bring that left foot off the ground to get our left knee moving in towards us. And then reach up with the hands, sit up with the head and shoulders if we need to, but we're gonna get a grip on the left knee, right? Either over the top or under it, find something on the left knee, and then hold that grip, but lie back again. And let the head and shoulders make their way back to the floor. And as you might have guessed, this one is targeting the right hip, right? And if you feel it a lot, right? If you're like, oh, if it's happening for you and you're feeling it, then just stay right here. If you want a little bit more, all you have to do is gently pull in, right? Use a little inward pull with the knee, and it is sure to accommodate. Another thing that can make a difference here is moving the left foot side to side. Sort of rolls the angle around or changes the angle of the hip. Okay, let's let the knee go and we'll get the feet flat and we'll set that up for the other side. So that's left ankle on the right knee. Take a second to glue them together, and then we're going to bring our right knee in towards our chest, sit up strong to meet it, and then get a grip on the right knee. Okay, hold your grip, but release back, settle back with the upper body. So like a lot of yoga poses, the goal here is to find a pretty comfortable, relaxed state where change is still happening, right? We still feel that pull, which tells us we're making space in the hip. And if we want a little more, all we have to do is give a gentle pull with the hands. Okay, that's good. Let's just take both legs out straight again. And roll to either the right or the left side. And nice and easy, let's just bring ourselves back up to our easy pose. And we'll round our class out with a little intentional breathing. And I think what we'll do today is the one called 4-7-8 because it's a challenge for me sometimes. I want to do it just to get stronger at it. So our breath in this case has 3 sides. All right, it's a triangle as opposed to our square breathing, which has 4 sides. That's what throws me off because I did square for a long time before this new pesky triangle. So the 4, and that's a 4 count, a 7 count, and an 8 count. Whether that matches up to seconds or not doesn't matter. If you know seconds and you're counting like 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, that's fine. It's just a 4 count. And the 4 count is going to time our inhale. We're going to inhale for 4. Okay? And then we're going to hold our breath for 7, right? And then we're going to exhale for 8. So the 8 is the longest part. And then we go from that exhale directly back into the inhale. So let's try it out. We'll start together on an inhale. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Long, slow exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now inhale for 4. Hold for 7. And then exhale for 8. All right, let's take a few more passes around the triangle. Make the timing work for your count. All right, you guys, I think that's a good stopping point for us. The best in me bows to the best in y'all. Namaste. That was great.